Hi, Stevo, and lately I've been looking at some videos about Derek Chauvin, the man who killed George Floyd. Him leaving the the prison or the jail. He got a, I don't know how he got it, but he got $1 million bail to get out of jail. And I scroll down and I read the little scrollers or whatever, and I'm sick and tired of people saying that, oh, George Floyd died from a drug overdose. And as a black man, it does make me angry when people say that stuff. Now, I don't know any of these people who say that. And, you know, the hearing hasn't happened until March. There'll be a hearing in downtown Minneapolis in March, and Derek Chauvin and the rest of police officers will get their day. And I personally don't feel that George Floyd died of a drug overdose, because I did see that that Derek Chauvin put his knee to George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes. Over 8 minutes and 48 seconds or something like that. And the whole world saw that video. And it's on my Twitter feed on Sacramento Outlaw Twitter feed that I have. And you could freely look at the raw footage of the death of George Floyd. So it's there. The video is there. It's not hidden somewhere or anything like that. And Derek Chauvin did put his knee on George Floyd's neck for over 8 minutes. So him dying of a drug overdose makes no sense to me. I admit George Floyd was on drugs, but he was coherent enough to conform to all the police officers what they had to say, except for when he went into the police car and he had an anxiety attack. But other than that, George Floyd was 100% coherent to what the police officers wanted from him. So him doing drugs is beside the point. Because, you know, you picture a person doing drugs, they're incoherent, they don't understand what you're saying, and they can't deal with whether what you're saying and everything like that, and they act very weird or whatever, or peculiar. George Floyd did not act weird or peculiar. And, you know, sometimes, you know, spit comes out of my mouth, just like spit came out of George Floyd's mouth. And, oh, you're on drugs. Am I on drugs? Spit's coming out of my mouth, you know, because I'm passionate on what I'm saying, and I'm not on drugs. I'm not, you know, incoherent or anything like that. Why does a person of color, why are they treated differently than white people are treated? You know? Why? And like I said before, if it was a beautiful woman who was on fentanyl or on meth, they would have gave her, you know, beautiful white woman, they would have gave her the time of day, year, second, and they would have treated her differently the way they treated George Floyd. They would have. And it makes me mad about the stereotypes about people of color as being dangerous, and, you know, George Floyd, this big, you know, black buck, you know. But, you know, the thing is George Floyd was in his 40s. George Floyd wasn't 18 years old. He was in his 40s. What was George Floyd going to do? What was he going to do against 5 police officers? And then when they put him on his stomach, what was George Floyd going to do? Run? He's 40-something. He was 40-something years old, 43 years old. What? He's going to run from the police at 43 years old? I mean, I'm trying to bring some humanity to the situation because George Floyd is me. Like I keep saying, George Floyd is me. I'm 5 years older than George Floyd. And that could happen to me. I could be walking down the street and I'm not paranoid or anything, but I could be walking down the street and the police officer could stop me for no reason and start an argument with me and it could end in very tragic for me as a black man. So I'm trying to understand this. Why are people of color treated differently than white people? And if you white people have black friends and Mexican friends, you would want to know that. If there are good white people out there who are watching this video, you would want to know why. And you would want to figure out what we can do as a nation to figure out what we could do about police reform as a nation, because we're all in this together. Again, I said I got a black father and I have a white mother, so I'm both. I'm both. I'm both of you. But I don't look like a white person. You wouldn't know that I have a white mother unless you really got to know me. But the whole thing is that how can we as a nation put together police reform as a nation? I mean, there are European countries that have better police reform than we'll ever have. There are European countries that have better programs than we do. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us is we put up with what politicians put us through. We put up with it. Because we'd rather, and again, we'd rather watch the football game, and we'd rather, avoid, everyone's out for themselves. I think that's what's wrong with the American people. Everybody's out for themselves. Me, 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 me. I'm going to watch the football game. I'm going to smoke a blunt. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But you never think about the bigger picture. And this government's going to get worse because people don't get together. People don't get together. As a community, as a nation, people don't get together. And I think that's what politicians want us to do. They don't want us to get together. This stimulus package they should have put together last month. But they're taking their time putting together this stimulus package when people are out of a job and people are homeless and people trying to pay the bills, trying to pay the rent and everything, and this government doesn't care about you because you don't do anything. You don't do anything. And we've had historical facts that we don't do anything about, about our community. George Floyd is me. George Floyd is me. And it worries me. It worries me. And I think a lot of the elderly white people who watch Fox News and see Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity or Janine Perro say, fucked up shit about people of color. Oh, the Mexicans are moving in your neighborhood and black people, they're violent, and so on. And you do nothing. And Fox News gets away with it. Fox News is making oodles of money a year, and they're making many millions of dollars a year off of gullible people who watch them every night. You think Tucker Carlson cares about you? You think Janine Perro cares about you? No, they don't care about you. You know, they're making money off of you and making a fool out of you. And so this George Floyd, you know, I think about him once in a while, not every day or anything like that, but we do need change. And we do need people to come together. And we do need people who love humanity to do something. To do something. They're going to have in March, they're going to have the Derek Chauvin hearing and the rest of the police officers. And it's best to do something about it. It's best to call your local politicians and you know, Derek Chauvin's he's in big shit. Either way, he's hidden money. He's illegally voted for Donald Trump in Florida, and he actually lives in Minneapolis. He's screwed. Even his wife divorced him. He's so screwed. You know, Derek Chauvin's life is fucked up. Even though that he's free from, you know, he should rot in prison, but he's free. But the thing is that his life is screwed. You know, anything that you could do to Derek Chauvin can't get any worse than it is now. You could kick his ass, you could try to kill him, which I don't want you to do. But whatever you do to Derek Chauvin, he already did to himself. And there's actual evidence that Derek Chauvin knew George Floyd before he killed him. There's actual evidence that people have said that Derek Chauvin knew George Floyd. They worked together as security guards. Now, that's just, you know, scuttlebutt, and hopefully we'll find out if it's true or not. But we need to vote, and we need to love one another, and we need to care about one another, and we need each other. We have an idiot for a president, and we really do need each other. And I think it's wrong to just do nothing. I think it's wrong. And I think it's wrong to be misinformed and say, oh, George Floyd died of a drug overdose, when all you had to do was look at the video and realize that he didn't die of a drug overdose. He died of a human being putting his knee over his neck for over 8 minutes. And an African American young girl is going to have to deal with that for the rest of her life. A 17-year-old African American girl took the picture, the last video of George Floyd's life, and she has nightmares about it. And I don't blame her. So, you know, people of color have been killed by police officers for years. And we need to care. We all, of all races, need to care. So vote in November 5th, and I'll see you when I see you.